Before we even look into the concept of what happens when and after we die, we have to get our perspectives right on death, but even more so, our perspective on living. The concept of life and death is an observed characteristic of activity and non-activity. The disappearance or the illusion or the observance of the disappearance of the you that you've created and accepted as you, right? That is what we consider to be alive. And the idea of death is that no longer exists. Partially, what we have constructed to be a you or an I does disappear because those are based on the causes and conditions of when you're conceived all up to the point when your body is done. So we have to understand that space of time is an observed occurrence of life, of activity, of construction of the self, and all things that are observed in and to support the idea of the self. We become so disenfranchised of the experience of life that we have that we're looking for a way out. We're looking for some escape. And we have to realize that our experience of life, or what we consider to be an observed occurrence of activity, is based on our own perspective and the habits in which we perceive the world. Cultivation, which is what I'm always talking about, is the nourishing of things of the body, of the mouth, and the mind that make you greater, stronger, more awake, more alive in terms of realization, knowing without bias, knowing without a bias of your six senses and the constructs in which we are grown up through, live by, and create the idea of a self. So now that we're clear on, to a degree, this life, or the idea of life, what happens when the physical body is done, and the process to get there? Well, the process is the breaking down of the self, and the level, or the state of mind that one retires at. Their physical body is done, so retires, right? Dead. At that point, whatever is equal to, within causes and conditions of that mind, one will then be appeared as another form, again, that is equal to that state of mind. With that being said, it's not that there is always a continuity, it's that there is no continuity, thus no non-continuity. Hope you could grasp that. Things are not constantly going, because for them to be constantly going, there has to be an opposite to it. So there is no opposite to the life, thus no death, and no death, thus no life. All that is, in observation, is constant. But without observation, there is no constant, there is no constant. Forms of physical nature, in any shape and form in physics, be it on Earth or other planets and systems of galaxies and world systems, whatever, those are within their respective states and how they function. Your mind, being at whatever state it is, will be the cause in which one will appear within another form. But the self you know as of this point will change simply because that self is based on the causes and conditions within the state of living, the construct of your life, perspectives, and how you perceive things from conception all up till this point and after. So the continuity of the self as you know it changes. That dies. Because there will be no more of the conditions that support the perspective of the self you know yourself as. Where do you go? What do you do? irrelevant. It's irrelevant because at this point that you're watching this and listening, everything brought you to this point, and then everything will bring you to the next point, and to the next situation, to the next thing. And all of that was formed, shaped, created by you with the help of all the occurrences that you have experienced in your life from inception till this point. They are a matrix, a networking, all these causes and conditions that thrust you to now and thrust you to the later. So, with that said too, wanting to know what will happen, you can see the probabilities based on the observation of the things you have experienced in your life up till this point. Doesn't mean you have to go through every single one, but understand that ones that you remember most clearly, that have the most pull, effect, that have a trigger, mentally and emotionally, are obviously big factors in which brought you to the state of existence you are experiencing yourself as. Of course, the small things in between that you don't remember, because you don't remember them, we'll say that they're small, but they do have the influence also. It's just there's more attention to certain happenings than not. So to understand what will be in your future, it is easy. Just look at the causes and conditions and occurrences that you have observed throughout your life up to this point. And you can get general probabilities. And then it just becomes a, which one am I choosing? That's why it's so easy to change. It's just we have to exercise change towards the thing we are looking to accomplish. And this goes into basic stuff in the world and internal, really cool, esoteric stuff internally. That's a big thing. We can't be disenfranchised by life and what's occurring in the world. It's not that those things are happening and then there's us. They're happening to us or they're happening for us. It is just that they are happening. You adjust your perspective so you can change how you perceive things. Because all of it is a lie, the good and the bad. Which one brings you more comfort? Not because of laziness, not because of lack of skill or ignorance, just because you can exist and live. And I say exist in quotations.